Hello, hello. We are live. Welcome everyone to Passion Speak, where we give those with a passion a platform to speak. Tonight's guest, I have the honor of being with TJ Sterling of RAE Comics. TJ is a creative. He is a probably a master. He and both his brother. He's a creative, he's a writer, he's an illustrator, and he is founder of RAE Comics. And hopefully, all of the credits are showing where you can go hunt him down on the web right now. Um, and when you think of TJ, let me just say this, TJ, and then you can talk. When you think of TJ, you have to think about those, not that he's a kid, he's a grown man, but you have to think about those kids who you see with a notebook drawing all the time and illustrating things. And they have plenty of notebooks. I imagine that TJ was probably one of those kids because he has a massively successful comic business. And it's going, it has a very, very bright future. Let me just put it that way. TJ, welcome and thank you for joining me.
How you doing, Miss Sandra? It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me on. I'm absolutely thrilled to be on Passion Speak.
Absolutely. I'm just so glad because I think the creative arts have gone underrepresented in a lot of our communities, our Black communities, and I just don't think that that they've gotten the press that they need to get, but they're getting it. Last decade or so, it's shooting through the moon. Tell us, how long have you been doing RAE Comics and how you got started and why you love it so much?
Absolutely, I'd love to. So for the people who are watching, this is a special treat for me to be on this show because by heart, like I was born an artist. I think it's just in my DNA. It's not something I ever really chose. I would say that it chose me. And I've always been a fan of anything that's artistic or some type of artistic expression, whether it's been painting or drawing or ceramics or sculpture, even something like martial arts. And Miss Sandra, um, when I first met her, it was a while ago. I mean, this had to be late 90s, I think, when we first met. But I was a young kid at the time, and I was in karate class, and I was very passionate about karate and martial arts at the time. And meanwhile, I was also very passionate about art, comic books, games, storytelling through the sequential media. So it was always something I always wanted to do. And through my travels over the years, I became very intimately interested in comic books and the sequential narrative and how it kind of was the glue for so many different things. Like, you need a movie, a video game, a short story, whatever, a novel. It always comes back to sequential narrative. So it was something that I was very interested in. And the long story short, I'm now making comics about characters of color doing really cool things.
Oh, and I'm so excited about it. Before you go any further, can we take a glimpse at your website? Because I just really love it. I want to look at some of the characters. In fact, I wasn't going to show these now, but I have some of your comic books. I have the Alchemist series. I have five, it looks like I think five of the six, or is it seven in the series?
5 books right now, and issue 6 and 7 are issue 5 and 6 are being drawn. So if people want to get into the series, there's 5 books at the moment. Issue 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then issue 5 and 6 are being drawn currently.
Okay, so I want to take a look at your website. These are let me just go through some of your art prints because I'm just fascinated with these. Let me hold on. I'm gonna go back just a little bit where it gives you just a scanning view. Where is that?
That's the homepage.
On the homepage. There we go. This is what I'm looking for. Just look at the pictures on these. I'm just fascinated at the detail. It It's breathtaking, really. I mean, you do this stuff freehand, right?
Yeah, this is a slideshow. It's a mix of my art as well as other artists that have done work for me over the years, and a lot of it's kind of a combination of traditional and digital art.
Okay.
Stuff that's done on paper, and then stuff that's done in the computer.
Okay. I've seen some of your storyboards. Yeah. Sure is some digital, but this is talent. This is talent. I don't care how you slice it. So I want to talk about this character right here. He just left. This one right here. His name is it Kale?
Yeah, the guy with the hood on.
Okay, I'm gonna go to the with the comics so we can look at him. This one right here. Um, so can you tell us about this character? Clearly he's African American, and that's really good for Black boys to see this kind of stuff, like they can do it too. But can you talk to us about the storyline on this?
Yeah, absolutely. So the interesting thing about growing up in the 80s and 90s, the there really wasn't a lot of representation of, Black folks in, well, really people of color in general. But I mean, me being a young Black kid, I was always interested in um, people that look like me on a comic book, you know what I'm saying, or really represented in any type of media. And unfortunately, at the time when I was coming up, there just wasn't really a lot of representation. So it was important for me when I started creating my own stories that I was going to have my people and the people that I knew and I was, grew up seeing represented in comics. And that kind of brings us to the main character of this series called Okamus. Um, just a quick brief. Alchemist is a sci-fi martial art action story about a young man of color named Kale who has a latent superhuman ability that could potentially save the human race. Um, Kale, in this issue, Zero, is actually an older man who's kind of like a fully fledged hero, has all of his abilities, and you can actually see him. That's him in his armored form in the green. And then with issue one, you actually see him where he's a lot older. So I'm sorry, where he's completely young. He's back to his original before he gets his powers, if you will. So there's a little bit of non-linear storytelling going on, a lot of
Mhm.
interesting stuff happening.
Okay, awesome. Um, so let me see. I'm gonna look at someone. One of my other favorite characters is a female. In fact, let me see if I can find her. Um, I happen to have a T-shirt with hold on, I'll show you.
Perfect.
uh, I have a T-shirt. Oh, look at me. Her name is Taina. Is it Taina?
Teena.
Tassina. Sorry, Tassina. I got friends Taina and Taisha. And anyway, this is a superhero. Is she your first female superhero in the series?
Yes, she is, and she's eventually going to get her own standalone series in the future.
So like a spinoff, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Once Okamus is done, we're going to have, she'll get her own series.
Well, I supported you on a Kickstarter, and this is one of the things that came as a part of our support. And I got a chance to pick which T-shirt, and of course, I saw that one. I was like, oh, I want that one because she looks like she don't, I don't have that body, but but she represents
You
what
can
we
kick
can.
like her though, Miss Sandra.
Oh, I can kick
Let's not
like
get it
her.
twisted.
You
Yeah.
funny. Oh, I appreciate that. Oh, yes, I love this. I'm real excited. So can you tell me how you've been doing? Obviously, you're a lifelong student, but do you remember how RAE Comics got started?
Yeah, I mean, I am RAE Comics. I mean, it's my publishing imprint, and it's something that I'm extremely passionate about. Basically, having a platform to tell unique stories and different stuff. Now, I would say that RAE Comics. I mean, really, I mean, I went to college. I went to high school. I was, pretty much a huge art major, and I had took as many art classes as I could in high school. I was an illustration major in college, and in my senior year of college, I actually interned at Marvel, where I learned the business of comics, and then got some work with Dark Horse Comics and then Aspen, and just last year I did something with DC, and I don't know, like I got exposed to all of the other big comic company, like how that machine ran, and I was very interested in basically running my own machine, having my own comic company, doing something very similar, but just with again, different unique characters that aren't your standard status quo superhero comic story. So yeah, I mean, Ray Comics is just something that eventually came to be as I got deeper into wanting to do comic books.
Okay. I'm looking at your website and I'm looking at your blog and going through it, and I'm seeing interview after interview after interview. I mean, you go to Comic Con in DC and Boston and California. You were here in Michigan a couple years ago, and I came down there to see you guys. That was nice. And so that just tells me that you are deeply embedded, because I saw interviews dating back to the first issue of your comics 5 or 6 years ago. And so you are really doing this. I'm proud to see it. I have a question. What's my question? Um, I'm really curious about technology in the work that you're doing with the comics. Now you said, yeah, they're digital images, but of course it takes your art. I couldn't do it. It takes your talent and your gift. Um, somebody's saying, somebody's saying that's her favorite. Tysina is her
What up,
favorite.
Janae?
Yeah,
What up?
thank you. Yeah, it's my favorite too. That's why I picked that t-shirt anyway. But where do you see technology? What role do you see technology having with comics today? Are they taking over, or is as a natural artist like yourself still really paramount in the industry?
Yeah, I mean, technology is ever changing, ever evolving. I mean, I think when a lot of us first started, digital wasn't something that was widely used or accepted at the moment. I mean, I think when I got serious about wanting to draw comics, this was right around the time I graduated college in 2009, 2010, around that area.
Mhm.
So there was maybe a handful of artists that were drawing digital at the time, and now there's an overwhelming amount of people that specifically draw digitally. And really, drawing digital kind of opens up the playing field for different techniques and shadowing, and as well as special effects. I mean, there's so many cool things that you can
Mhm.
do with the digital tools and the digital programs. So a lot of people started drawing in Photoshop. That was the first thing people were drawing comics in. And then from there, they eventually gravitated towards something called Clip Studio, which is a program specifically created for drawing that came from Japan over to the US. So um, for me, I find it much more productive. I find it much, easier and much more timely to be able to draw digitally on my computer screen that I have here in my studio at home. Um, it's again, it takes out the eraser shavings. You're not wasting trees or pencils or paper.
Mhm.
You're literally just drawing on a screen, which is really nice. So again, I personally find it to be something very exciting, and again, it's a new frontier that um, is just we're just starting to scratch the surface of some of the stuff that can be done. So it is ever changing, but right now I'd say it's probably like a renaissance, if you will.
I'm glad to hear that. There's so many people, so many artists out there are feeling overwhelmed by technology. We know how much technology. We turn our phone off at night. We wake up in the morning, it's updated, and the whole face looks different. So I know we can be overwhelmed, but I'm glad you're embracing that. Your art is absolutely amazing, and I just don't tell me where in a perfect world, where does Ray Comics go next?
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate that. I mean, I think for me, the biggest thing is staying consistent. I mean, for I mean, how do I say this? So it's like last year we did our first Kickstarter campaign, and we raised over $20,000 in 1 month. And I'd never done a Kickstarter before, no type of fund crowdfunding anything, and it's really a testament to the fans and the people who consistently support me and believe in what I'm doing. But they understand that I consistently come out with new, unique stories every single year. I've got something new. And I think for me, the future of RAE Comics is really continuing to be consistent by delivering more and more high quality, thought provoking, and cutting edge stories, art, and comics, and then branching out into other stuff like doing some more apparel, more toys. Eventually we're getting into gaming, animation, and eventually film. But I'm not super sold on doing all film stuff just yet. I really want to again build a library of content that people can say, hey, I want to go back and check out RAE Comics from 10 years ago. And there's again just lots and lots of really cool stories that people can dive into. So to answer your question, building a library of content.
Oh, I like that. Speaking of building a library of content, you guys have a new project. You and your brother Spencer have a new project coming, is launching soon. Tell us about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So Joystick Angels is the newest title that is coming from RAE Comics, my business, my publishing imprint. And RAE Comics is a little, I'm sorry, Joystick Angels is a little bit different than our flagship title, Okemos. So, Okemos being a sci fi martial art action epic, it's very much based on, time travel and, martial arts and fighting. And, if you like the Sentai genre, if you like, 90s anime, things like the Spawn or the Guyver, you're going to love Okemos because it's a very specific type of homage situation going on where Joystick Angels is a title that is very, very different. It's actually a YA that's a um, young adult space opera title that is centered around five young space pilots that are all black with the exception of one humanoid panda. Um, five young five young kids who are tasked with protecting the universe against an evil alien empire. But they're actual pilots, so they fly around space with space jets. So if you like, Star Wars, or you like Star Trek, or what is it called, Babylon 5. Like if you like that type of stuff, then you're going to love this series. If you were a big gamer in the 80s and 90s and you like shoot 'em up games like Star Fox or Gradius 3 or Darius Twin, you're going to love Joystick Angels. It's a fun, really interesting, cool story that's completely different than what's being done now in the black indie comic space. So I'm happy to bring that to you guys. But not only the story's interesting, but what's really, really unique and different about this book is the fact that it comes with an actual custom original soundtrack. When you go to a movie like like a Spider-Man movie or Avengers, or you go to any of the Marvel movies, they all have a soundtrack that is playing during the entire time you're watching the movie. And then eventually you can download it or you can buy a CD or whatever you want of that soundtrack. And it's usually composed by a actual musician of sorts, like it's Hans Zimmer or um, uh, you know people like that,
Mhm.
or Brian Tyler. These people who make soundtracks for movies. So we were blessed and honored to have my brother be a part of this project, not only as the writer, as a co-writer of Joystick Angels, along with myself, but he also designed and arranged and produced a custom soundtrack for the entire comic book. So that actually will help the reader kind of get a multi-tiered experience, and they can really be immersed in the world of Joystick Angels. And just picture a world where Earth has been destroyed and all the last remaining human beings live on a space station in deep space. And they're fighting for their survival and their humanity. And it's these five young kids that are the ones that can save the world. And they have to do that with, a soundtrack. It's really pretty powerful stuff. So we're very, very excited to bring that to you. Um, I think Miss Sandra is going to put the link in the chat. So, I mean, just feel free to just Oh yeah, the campaign debuts on May 12th, so get ready.
So if we want to be involved in the campaign, I didn't put it in where that's the one thing I didn't put in there. They can reach you on all forms of social media
Yeah,
and
it's
ask
super
about the
easy. If you are on my website, raecomics.com, RAE comics.com, there's an actual Kickstarter page that you can click on. And Miss Sandra will show you, so it's all the way to the right. You click on that, and essentially what you can do is you can sign up for our mailing list, and that will let us contact you once the actual campaign debuts or drops on May 12th.
Okay. Joystick Angels coming next. I find that real interesting that you call it joystick, because some of our gamers today don't may or may not remember joystick situations where you had to have the joystick to play the games. Miss
That's
Royalty
correct.
has a question. She says, how have you evolved? I'll put it up. How have you evolved as an artist or creator since launching in 2015? And how has that impacted your work? How have you evolved? She wants to know.
That's a great question. Thank you, Janae. I appreciate that. AKA Miss Royalty. So evolution is something that is very organic, and it's situational based on the work that you are doing. Again, the very first book I ever did, which was Okemos Zero, was drawn by hand with pencil and was eventually inked and colored traditionally. It was something that was a very arduous process. It was very difficult, but it was very, very educational at the same time. So ever since then, I kind of learned how to draw digitally, and Okemos 1, 2, 3, 4, and eventually 5 and 6 will all be drawn digitally. And I kind of was evolving with the times, saying, hey, I need to be able to get this book done faster so I can get it in the hands of my fans and the people that want the story. That's part of, as an artist, I was evolving with the technology. As the technology evolved, I evolved with the technology. I would also say too that as a business owner and a businessman, you evolve with the times, and you kind of start to see like certain trends that are happening within comic books, and you can either jump on that wave, or you can pivot and do something totally different. And that's really where I'm at as a creator, trying to pivot and do stories that are outside the box and just something that no one is doing right now.
Okay. Thank you. Well, we aren't going to stay much longer because we want people to go to the website and follow you and get interested in anime. And it's huge. Lakeith Stanfield just going to do something in Netflix with animated situations. So it's going to be huge. Don't be left out. But I have a question real quick. For anyone aspiring, like maybe there's some youngsters out there, or maybe teens, or maybe older people who are aspiring to want to get into creating comics one way or the other, illustrating or writing. What's your advice to them?
It's never too late to begin. I mean, I think it's only too late when you're in the grave. You know what I'm saying? Like it's I mean, there's some really powerful and famous comic book artists that got started in their late 40s. I mean, you don't necessarily, and then some guys as young as 18 they get started in the business. So it really doesn't matter how old you are. It really just matters kind of what your intention is. So, like if you really want to be in the business, then do whatever it takes to get into that business, and teach yourself how a business works. And yeah, but it's never too late. That'd be my advice.
Thank you. I appreciate that. After all, it is passion, right? And passion is, you don't have to be trying to get rich to do it. You do it because it incites something inside of you, that something that you love and something that gives you that sparkle in your eye. So I appreciate you hanging out with me tonight, TJ and RAE Comics.
My pleasure.
And let's do it again. Let's do it again when hopefully when you have a huge library and you're talking about film. That would be nice.
Hey man, that'd be perfect. And maybe we could get on and do another one, or we'll do a live or something like that on Facebook. And
Oh,
yeah,
and if Comic Con ever comes back to Grand Rapids, I'll come down there and we'll do a live right from Comic Con.
that
You
sounds
have a
perfect.
lot of
I'd
those
love to,
on your
Miss Sandra.
website.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Yeah.
you. All right. I will talk with you soon and have a great day. Thanks again. This has been Passion Speak.
My pleasure. See you guys later.
All righty.